Hi, I'm Emma Zinck, and welcome to The Creative Push. What's going on? My name's Emma Zinck. I'm from a town called Fredericksburg, Virginia, and I've lived in Nashville now for about 8 or 9 years, playing music, writing songs, and doing the dang thing.
Don't wanna go back home to it tonight.
So tell me a little bit about your childhood. Was music a big influence in your family when you were growing up?
Yeah, so my mom and dad were huge music people. They would be downstairs in the living room playing CDs of all types of music, anything from like Merle Haggard to Led Zeppelin. So a lot of country, a lot of rock and roll, a lot of kind of 90s type stuff.
Were they musicians or anything?
My mom played piano a little bit, and then my dad played a little bit of a guitar. So yeah.
And how old were you when you picked up the guitar?
I think I was 11 years old. My dad, he was taking guitar lessons at the time. I remember he would come home from his guitar lessons, and I'd be like, tell me about what you're learning. And then he showed me a couple chords, and then he quit playing, and then I guess I took his spot.
And when did you know you wanted to do music?
I think I was about 15 or 16. I'd already been playing music at the time. My first gig was like, I think I was 12 or 13, and I played at this Irish pub called the Blarney Stone, and my parents made me learn a bunch of Irish tunes. And before that, I was on the worship band at my school. I went to a private Christian school. And then, yeah, that's kind of how it all started. I think I was like 15 or 16 when I was like, I think I want to do this like for real.
Did you go to college for music?
No, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately, I guess. Didn't go to college. I tried to go to like a community college class, I guess when I was like 18 or 19, because all my friends were going to college at the time, and I went to one class, and I remember the teacher or professor was like, "Oh, this textbook will be $250," and I'm just thinking like I can buy a guitar pedal. So I went to one class, and I was like, I don't think college is for me right now. I just want to get to Nashville. My heart was kind of set on just getting there.
And how old were you when you got to Nashville, Tennessee?
I was not 19. I visited in the summer of 2016, and then I found a place that following October. Yeah, and then I kind of drove back and forth from Nashville back to Virginia because I didn't have a job at the time, and would go back home, play some gigs, and then come back, and then got a job at the Red Robin. God help us all, I'm not a waitress. I'm a terrible waitress. It was so bad. Even my mom was like, my mom's from Jersey, and she'd be like, "Emma, why the hell don't you take your guitar and go downtown and just play some songs? You can't waitress." Anyway.
And you did at a certain point?
I did. Well, the reason I did was because I had met some people like on Music Row at the time, and some publishers or whatever, and they were like, don't play Broadway, you'll get stuck down there. So I didn't for a few years. And I got fired from I had 3 serving jobs, and I got fired from each one. Forget the steak knife, forget the appetizer. Sorry,
that's
my bad.
That's good. Now you know where you belong.
Yes, just behind the guitar.
What is one thing you wish you had known when you got started?
I wish I would have known that what I have to offer is valuable. I think or just would have known that I had something to offer and that I didn't always have to depend on somebody else to make it happen for me.
What's your biggest failure?
Not fully believing in myself. For sure. Kind of questioning and always not being proactive enough, waiting on something to happen or putting my faith into somebody else or something else rather than myself.
So you mentioned a little bit about your influences before. Was there any specific person or artist that you really kind of feel like inspired you to start writing and playing music?
Yeah, I think so. My first instrument was actually piano. I started playing piano when I was like 6. And I was totally mesmerized by Sarah Bareilles, like all her early Little Voice album, like all that stuff. And then simultaneously at that point I was like 13, 14, and then I was super into Avril Lavigne, like the punk rock type edgy skater girl thing. So simultaneously these like piano ballads, blues thing, and then this like edgy rock type thing. And then I got into country in high school and I joined this signed up for this country competition. It was called Country Idol. And my parents love country and I grew up around country and I never didn't really start really getting into it till I was like 15 or 16, and then got super into like Leanne Rimes and Trisha Yearwood and Dolly Parton. And I remember singing like Jolene and a Trisha Yearwood song, How Do I Live Without You? And that they really started influencing me in country.
Do you have a specific technique when you're creating songs or music? Do you start with since you play guitar, do you start with like the tune, the melody on the guitar, the chord structure, or do you start with a lyric, or do you start with a melody? Like, how does that work?
Sometimes I feel like I used to, like normally I'm really gravitated to the music part of it. But since like being a songwriter and living in Nashville for so long, I'm always thinking like hook driven stuff too. But for me, it's like the lyrics and the melody have to make sense together. Like if there's a really great lyric without an interesting melody, it's hard for me to get excited about it. So for me, if it's like, oh, this great hook, it's like, okay, how is the music gonna speak to that? And I feel like that's what excites me the most.
What is creativity to you?
Everything, which is kind of crazy because it totally is. One of my friends told me one time that if you're not creating, you're destroying. And that like wrecked me for a minute because I think it's just like I was born to be creative, and if I'm not doing something to get something out somewhere, I'm in my head or spiraling or telling myself I'm not good enough for whatever. I feel like it's the curse of being a creative, unfortunately.
And what inspires you to create? Just everything around you?
I think so, yeah. It's kind of just like this innate thing in my soul that even when I was a kid, before I got into singing, I would draw all the time.
Do you guys go to writers' rounds?
Yeah, I still go to writers' rounds and stuff. It was like more so when I first moved to town, like trying to meet people and
Network.
Yeah. And that kind of thing. And I still play a couple writers' rounds, like the Freak Show that Terry Jo Box hosts, and Grindhouse at Live Oak, and some other stuff. Just depends.
What do you do when you get stuck?
I spiral a little bit in my head. I've been working through trying to not get down on myself, or kind of get to a place of like recognizing that it's okay to be stuck sometimes, and you're not always going to have it perfect.
What do you see in your future?
I feel like I could say the typical things like a Grammy and a big stage and all that kind of stuff, which it would be awesome, but I think it's just inspiring people and hopefully getting my music to a larger audience of people that need it and feel like they can resonate with something I say or something in the person that I am that makes them feel like they're not alone, or that they can feel understood in a new way. It's like, yeah, you always want to get further in your career and have these like tangible goals, which would be amazing. But at the end of the day, it's like if I make one person cry or make one person feel something, that I feel like that's what it's all about, and trying to always stay grounded in that no matter what the future is.
Is there anything you'd like to learn that you have not learned yet?
How to get out of my own head, for sure. And I think one of the ways that I've helped that this year, I've chosen to let go of the alcohol thing, which has been a big journey and a big decision. But that was definitely something that was getting in my way and keeping me in my head and not letting me progress in like an emotional, spiritual way.
How do you market yourself out there in Nashville?
In Nashville, it's kind of at a point where I feel like I know people in town. Like if I'm having a show, I can be like, hey, come out to the show. And Bridget helps me out a lot working with her. She's been great to work with and connecting some dots and stuff, which has been awesome.
When you start gaining the respect of the artists that have been established here or people around Nashville, that makes up for a lot of marketing that you don't have to do. I mean, when you got people like Pam Tillis and Jamie O'Neill and Carolyn Dawn Johnson and people that have structured part of the country music industry as females in this industry that she's gained the respect of, or guitar players in town, or when Rob McNally leaves a message on you kicking a bass run out and
So it's
tells you
crazy.
that it's badass, basically,
Yeah.
that's a big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a guy that's been the musician of the year for the CMAs and things like that. So I think also you kind of get a little bit of an edge like that because you're gaining the respect of an industry that it's hard to get the respect of the artist to an artist, because everybody's in a silent competition, right? Friendly one sometimes, but it's also hard to gain the outskirts of that. And I think a little bit you've got an edge on that where you're gaining that respect too. So that's part of the marketing of her.
Obviously you market your shows and you tell people when you have a show, but there's this whole world of like social media, which is now seems to be the biggest factor in marketing yourself. So that's been like my main focus, and it's taken me a second to like shift my head to, all right, well, I didn't want to get on the camera and dance around to my own song, but that's what you got to do, kind of thing. And it's been good. I mean, it's like a kind of a thing, finding your own way of how you want to do it and finding yourself as an artist with putting yourself out there on a platform for literally anybody to see. But it's like, if you're trying to market yourself, you're going to reach more people doing that sometimes than playing a show for 30, 50 people. You know what I mean? So I think like touring is like a huge thing still.
What advice can you offer to someone starting out in their own creative path?
Focus on being a cool hang rather than going into town and looking for opportunities, which we're all looking for opportunities, but at the end of the day, it's like if you want to write a song with somebody or you want to connect with somebody, like just connect with them like you would a human. And if it's a vibe, that vibe's great. If it doesn't vibe, then that's all right. Maybe it's not the person you're supposed to work with. I think for me, just like building relationships and not trying to set an expectation on always trying to get something out of somebody. for sure.
Thank you so much for being on the Creative Push. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening. As always, my intention is to offer you inspiration that excites you to want to get out there and create something amazing. Be sure to check out some of the other episodes, and if you like what you've heard, please help spread the word. Give this a thumbs up, subscribe, follow, and share with others. There's more information in the show notes, including links to other great stories, tips, and resources. Drop me a message or comment at any time, and I hope you will sign up to be a part of this creative tribe.